One of the things I realized over the last month was that we're seeing such progress with Manus, I need to get back to founder mode. Now, that was Reid Hoffman. He was speaking recently on his own podcast with Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. And, those aren't just passing words in some casual interview between two tech titans. No, that is the sound of a monumental shift in the technology landscape. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are unpacking a truly fascinating narrative. We're going to look at exactly how and why one of Silicon Valley's absolute titans is literally walking away from the boardroom of a $3 trillion company to go hunt for cancer cures. We're talking about a massive, high-stakes pivot from the very peak of big tech software to the complex, microscopic trenches of AI drug discovery. This isn't just your standard story about shifting tech portfolios. It's about a fundamental pivot in how the world's smartest minds are trying to extend human life. If you want to understand where the absolute smartest money in tech is heading next, well, this is the story you need to know. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap. First, going founder mode. 2, a decade of AI deals. 3, big tech's conflict problem. 4, enter Manus and Move 37. And finally 5, the future of drug discovery. So, starting off with Section 1, going founder mode, leaving Microsoft. Let's get right into the breaking news from a June 2026 regulatory filing that kind of took the business world by surprise. After nearly a decade of helping steer literally one of the most powerful companies on the planet, Reid Hoffman is stepping down from Microsoft's board of directors. But he isn't retiring to a beach somewhere. Actually, he's leaving to become entirely hands-on as the co-founder and chairman of his AI drug startup, Manus. You see, in Silicon Valley, being a board member basically means you oversee the ship from the bridge. But being in founder mode, that means you are down in the engine room, hands covered in oil. He realizes the pace of artificial intelligence in biology is accelerating so incredibly fast right now that he just can't be a passive advisor looking at spreadsheets once a quarter. He has to be in the trenches. He's got to get back to his roots. Let's move to Section 2, a decade of AI deals. The tangled web. To really understand why he's leaving right now, we have to trace this timeline. Because honestly, it is impossible to overstate just how central Reid Hoffman has been to the entire generative AI explosion. Let's walk through it. In 2016, Microsoft acquires his company LinkedIn, which officially brings him onto their board. Fast forward to 2019, and he is a sitting board member when Microsoft makes its earth-shattering $1 billion bet on OpenAI, a move that, as we all know, completely reshaped the tech industry. Now, Hoffman was actually one of OpenAI's original investors, and he served on their board until 2023. Think about that timing for a second. Early 2023 was the absolute height of the ChatGPT explosion. And right in the middle of that madness, he steps away from OpenAI's board just to avoid mounting conflicts of interest. And now, in 2026, he departs Microsoft's board. There's a really deep irony in walking away from these mega-cap tech boards right as the AI wave he helped build is cresting, right? But the sheer complexity of his investments basically forced his hand. In the financial scale we are talking about here is just massive. $26.2 billion. That was the price tag when Microsoft bought LinkedIn back in 2016. That truly astronomical deal is what originally anchored Hoffman to Microsoft's boardroom. So for 10 years, he sat at the absolute epicenter of this tech giant, watching and guiding the AI revolution from the inside out. He was making decisions that dictated the flow of literally tens of billions of dollars across the sector. Which brings us to Section 3, Big Tech's conflict problem, friction in the boardroom. Now, what's really interesting here is the ethical and regulatory maze that ultimately pushed Hoffman out of these very comfortable, very powerful seats. We have to look at another staggering number, $650 million. This represents a highly unusual acqui-hire deal Microsoft struck with a company called Inflection AI. The catch here, well, Reid Hoffman was the co-founder of Inflection AI. When you are sitting on the board of the tech giant doing the buying, and you also co-founded the startup being bought, yeah, the regulatory alarms start ringing pretty loudly across multiple government agencies. The overlapping interests here created a totally tangled web. Through that $650 million deal, Inflection AI's co-founder Mustafa Suleyman was essentially absorbed into Microsoft to lead its newly minted specialized superintelligence division. So consider the setup on the chessboard for a minute. You've Microsoft consuming a startup, Hoffman co-founded, bringing its leadership in-house, while Hoffman is on the Microsoft board, all while Hoffman is simultaneously deeply involved in a dozen other AI ventures. Regulators call these types of maneuvers shadow acquisitions, and they view them with extreme skepticism.
It was an incredibly complex corporate knot, the kind that gives antitrust lawyers both nightmares and, well, giant billable hours. The regulatory scrutiny on big tech boards regarding these intertwined relationships is just immense right now. So Hoffman stepping down wasn't just a career pivot, it was an essential unwinding of that liability so he could actually focus on the future.
Let's shift gears. Section 4. Enter Manus and Move 37, the scientific pivot. With those corporate conflicts now safely behind him, Hoffman is shifting his focus to a solution that is incredibly fascinating. Let's break down the heavyweight backing of his new startup, Manus. They are entirely focused on AI drug discovery, and they definitely aren't starting small. They've already raised over $50 million across 2 seed rounds, backed by major players like General Catalyst. But pay very close attention to who the CEO is here. Dr. Siddhartha Mukherjee. He isn't just a brilliant physician and biologist. He is the Pulitzer Prize-winning author of The Emperor of All Maladies, which is widely considered one of the most profound books ever written on cancer. This partnership is just incredibly unique. You are taking a master of digital scale and networks, Reid Hoffman, and combining him with a master of human biology and oncology, Dr. Mukherjee. So it's not just a tech startup, it's a cross-disciplinary powerhouse designed to tackle human disease from an entirely new angle. So, the crucial point is understanding exactly how they plan to revolutionize this field. Hoffman uses a term he calls Move 37. Now, if you follow artificial intelligence history, you know Move 37 refers to the absolutely unforgettable moment Google's AlphaGo played a move against the human world champion, Lee Sedol. The move was so profoundly original, so completely alien, that it defied thousands of years of human intuition and strategy. The experts literally thought the machine had malfunctioned. That is, until they realized it had simply seen a path to victory no human mind could comprehend. It wasn't just computing. It was an AI showing true, terrifyingly brilliant creativity. And Hoffman believes they can apply this exact Move 37 concept to chemistry. They want AI to supersede human creativity, to discover novel compounds to combat cancer. Imagine an AI that doesn't just read medical textbooks, but actually writes entirely new chapters of chemistry that human doctors never even imagined. They aren't looking for slight variations of old drugs here. They want the AI to invent entirely new ways to attack the disease from the ground up. That is the holy grail they are chasing. Finally, Section 5, the future of drug discovery, a global race. Now, Manus isn't operating in a vacuum, and this brilliantly illustrates how they are entering a fiercely competitive global arena with literal trillion-dollar stakes. The biggest tech giants on Earth are increasingly shifting their vast computational resources away from just consumer software and aiming them directly at human biology. While Manus is developing its Move 37 AI, ByteDance, the parent company behind TikTok, recently presented its very first AI-designed therapy through their new A New Labs division. Meanwhile, Google DeepMind's Isomorphic Labs is already leagues ahead, with AI-designed drug candidates officially entering actual clinical trials right now. This is a monumental shift. The race to decode biology and cure diseases with silicon and code is officially on, and it is moving at an absolute breakneck speed that traditional pharmaceutical companies are honestly struggling to comprehend. Which brings us to the ultimate unknown. Will this Move 37 AI finally outsmart cancer, discovering chemical compounds that the human mind simply couldn't conceive? Or is this just another massive big tech bet that will eventually fizzle out when elegant code meets the incredibly messy, unpredictable reality of human biology? It really makes you wonder, decades from now, will the true lasting legacy of artificial intelligence be found in generating text for chatbots? Or will it be the technology that finally cures the emperor of all maladies? Think about that for a while. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on The Explainer.